Hi guys, it's Saneth here again. I'm the traveling mom boss. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. As you guys know, I love to travel on a budget. Today's video is going to be about my opinion of traveling to Dublin, Ireland versus Paris, France. So you guys may not know, but I traveled for 3 months with my kids throughout Europe. We went to 3 different countries and we loved the entire experience. But now I'm here to give you a comparison of what I think about traveling to Dublin, Ireland versus Paris, France. But before I get into that, guys, I do want to let you know that I have a comprehensive course, meaning that my course that I'm going to tell you guys about is all about how to travel on a budget with kids. I've learned so much for the past 2 years of traveling with my kids on a budget. So I created this course just to give you guys everything I know. And if you would like that course, please make sure you check out in the description below. My course will be available on October 1st. If you're watching this and it's not October 1st yet, please make sure you come back. If it is October 1st, it's definitely ready and available for you. I wanted to talk about all about what I think about Dublin versus Paris. So here we go. So guys, I visited Paris 3 different times. I never went to Dublin. So I've had all of these things in my head about what is Dublin like. I did research, and after visiting there, I can give you my opinion of the one versus the other. So the first thing is, I realized that the Irish people are so laid back and so funny. So they're so willing to just have a conversation with you. So when I went to restaurants with my sister or my kids or all of us, I realized the waitresses, the hostess or host, or anyone that we had any interaction with were so willing to talk to us and make jokes with us, ask us how we were. We did see that in many other countries, but I do have to say, when I compare Paris, France versus Dublin, Ireland, I would say that the people there are much more conversational. I mean, wherever we went to eat, people were friendly, but I have to say that it was more of a, I would have to say that the people that we were speaking to were more genuine in a way, and they're very funny. There's always a joke with everything that we discuss. So it's like they want to see you smile. And I noticed that from the very first time when we flew into Ireland to start our traveling journey, because we flew into Ireland to Dublin just to transfer to another flight to go to Croatia. So we didn't stay there very long, but for that little bit of time that we did stay there, it was amazing. We did go back to Dublin and we stayed there for about 11 days. So my opinion is coming from the 11 days and that very short period of staying there for about a half of a day. So I do have to say the people are very friendly, very conversational, and very, they joke a lot. So prepare to laugh when you're speaking to people in Dublin. Another thing I learned about Dublin versus Paris is that it's cheaper. I was under the impression that it would cost more to live and travel around in Dublin. I don't know where I got that from, but I thought it was going to be more costly. And I realized things was much cheaper. And I was like, wait a minute, I should have probably stayed here longer, because I stayed in Paris much longer. I stayed there for 1 month. So I was like, whoa, we should have stayed here longer, because I'm a budget traveler. So I want my money to stretch as long as possible. And I felt like when we were in Dublin, we spent way less. When we were in Paris, we spent so much money that I was just like, oh my goodness, is this a budget trip? But I realized no, Dublin is very much cheaper. So definitely want to visit there again and enjoy and have fun and be on a budget like we were planning on doing for the entire trip. But unfortunately, it didn't really work out so much like that in Paris. Another thing I have to say that I learned that was a little bit different in Dublin than in Paris, is that in Paris, when you go out to restaurants to eat, you can just easily just go sit wherever. Just a side note, now it's a little bit different because of the pandemic. You do have to provide proof of vaccination status before you eat. You go sit down to eat. But once you provide that proof and you have the okay, you can go sit wherever. Prior to the pandemic, you could just walk and go sit wherever you want. But now you do have to show proof before you sit down. But it's still the same thing. You sit wherever you want. In Dublin, I noticed, I don't know if this is every restaurant, but almost all of the ones we went to, you do have to wait to be seated, which is something that's normal in the United States. I'm used to that. But after traveling around in Europe for 3 months, that was something that we had to get used to because Dublin, Ireland was our last stop. So we had to get used to the fact that you don't just walk in and sit down. You do have to wait to get seated and tell the host how much people are in your party before you actually get seated. Another thing that I learned about Dublin, Ireland, that's somewhat different than Paris is that there's so many pubs. As you know, Ireland is famous for their Guinness. So you can always find a Guinness in any pub. So the Irish people, they love to drink and have fun and have a merry time. So there's pubs all around. Paris does have a lot of bars and restaurants, but it's Ireland is more about the pub, more about getting that beer and sitting down and eating some chips, or we call it French fries. So they're more about eating like the little snacks and drinking your beer and having fun. So I noticed there's lots of pubs. So if you want to go out and drink and have some fun, there's many of those places available in Dublin. So in regards to going to pubs and having a good time and restaurants as well, I can say I noticed that in Dublin, it's much stricter when it comes to your vaccination status. So every single place that we went to eat did require us to show our vaccination card or negative COVID test. I feel like in Paris, they do ask, but some of the restaurants didn't. So they weren't really enforcing that order. I'm not gonna put anybody out there, but I did notice that in Paris some of the restaurants didn't ask for it, but in Dublin every single restaurant or pub that we went to required that you show your vaccination status before you entered that particular establishment. So one thing I can say is I do prefer Dublin, obviously, because after traveling for 3 months, I was kind of missing just hearing people speak English, because I did try to practice my French and learn the basic things before I went to France, but after a while, I just wanted to hear English. So once I got there, I was so excited to hear people just speaking English, and I didn't have to worry about translating or making sure that I was saying things right. I do love the French language, and I do want to master it or speak fluently eventually. I don't know if I'll ever master it, but be able to communicate more. But after being in Paris for 1 month, it was getting a little frustrating because not everyone spoke English, and it's fine because that's their native language. But I was just happy to be in a country where I could just speak English and know that the person that I'm speaking to understood what I was saying. Another thing I want to say about Dublin versus Paris is that I feel like the portions are much larger in Dublin. I don't know if this is a thing throughout Ireland, but when we were in Dublin, which is the only place I've ever visited in Ireland so far, the portions are much larger. So I have to say the foods that I've tried in Paris were amazingly delicious. However, the portions are much smaller. So I love the fact that in Ireland, in Dublin, the portions were larger. The food was more heartier. There's a lot of potatoey and starchy foods, which clearly you can see I love. You know that's an American thing. We love to eat. So I was so excited to be able to get a heavier portion. However, in the beginning, my stomach ached because I was eating so small portions in France that once I got to Ireland, it's like my body was in shock. So I kind of had to eat smaller amounts. I also noticed even the breads were more heavier and heartier. As you guys know, the Irish people have a popular bread called soda bread. That bread is so delicious, but you can only have like one slice, and it's literally like a meal because it's so thick and it's so hearty, but it's amazingly delicious. You just put a little bit of butter on it and you're good to go with some coffee, tea, or however. That's the way I ate it. But I think you usually eat it with soup because that's how I always ordered it, but you don't really need that much because it's very hearty. But yeah, I noticed with Dublin, the portions are much larger, And that's a plus to me because I'm a single parent, and sometimes my kids, they don't really eat that much, and I would love it if I can just share my meal with them instead of ordering 3 meals and they don't even want what they ordered, or they're not even gonna eat all of it. So as a budget traveler and a single parent, it works out better for me if we can just order 1 meal or 2 meals, because sometimes my kids are picky when we go out to eat. So that worked for me, and they actually preferred the food in Dublin because it had more of, the things like rice and bread and things that they were used to. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure you check out my course, and also please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in my next video.